All right, and here we are. We're back
Hi,
with.
everyone.
Oh, they're back. We got Reagan, Crystal, and Heather here with Fusion Now, each of you in their own name. So here we go. I'm glad I got Bryce here. Who's going to lead it off? Because I want a hand raised. Who's going to tell us what Fusion Now is? Not all of you at once.
Oh, I'll go. I'm super passionate about Fusion Now. So we all work in different departments here. But Fusion Now essentially is a marketing and recruiting firm that helps clients and carriers in transportation meet their their fleet growth goals. That's a tongue twister for the day.
There you go. Well, I first found out about y'all. I actually introduced myself to Heather first, and we met at Women in Trucking in person, and that was so much fun, and I'm already looking forward to the next event. We'll get to see each other and hang out, but I always recommend, if you can't go to events like that, do it, because you get to just network and meet some, awesome people in your industry, and especially, successful females, and that's what Women in Trucking was about. So yeah.
It was a great. Oh, sorry. I was going to say it was a great conference, and if anybody did go to Women in Trucking, you might recognize us because we were the ones with the light up shoes.
Yes.
At Women in Trucking.
I love
absolutely
those.
Wonderful organization.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get some of those for TCA, and Dave, we need to get you some of those too.
What, light up shoes?
Yeah, you have a hard time,
I don't think I need any light up shoes.
He has a hard time,
I'll take a cool hat with a big light on the front.
We're going to get you some light up shoes.
I don't need any light up with wheels on the bottom. No, I don't think that's a good idea.
We'll send you the link. Don't worry about it.
So let's do this. Let me ask Crystal real quick, and we'll go down. We'll just talk to each of you in a little bit. And I know that you're a sales manager over there at Fusion Now. So tell me how you compare the market difference in what you do today as it was 6 months ago, because the demands, the needs, and how it is out there with what's going on has changed dramatically. I mean, to me, 6, 8, 9 months ago, it was a whole lot harder to find somebody. Now it's not. Doesn't seem as difficult as it was. Is that you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely think I understand what you're saying. So with us, we see those flexes in the industry as well. And I have an amazing team behind me that really helps. We have like a portal over here at Fusion Now, and we can kind of see the ups and downs of the industry, how their leads are performing. And so my marketing team, or not my marketing team, the team behind me, they're able to kind of address these things and flex as the industry is flexing as well.
And I'll just jump over to Heather as Director of Marketing Strategy. You do this, you go out there. What sets apart when you go to a company? How do you set that company apart from every other company out there?
Yeah, there's a number of different ways, but ultimately keeping a company to itself, right? So advertising everything on its own platforms, really calling attention to that brand, highlighting what makes that company different, whether that be its different core values or how it got started, its specific niche in the industry as well, but ultimately keeping their brand consistent across all of their platforms and just highlighting what's truly the best about them as well, and staying away from any industry catchphrases too.
In doing that, I think it would be ultimately very, very important. How do you know that company? I mean, obviously, it's a relationship you have to genuinely develop, right? You can't just go in and read the byline on a sheet of paper and then expect to go out and give the core values of a company. How does that relationship initiate and start and develop so that you can go out and become the voice, I would say, or that marketing strategy ideology? How do you do that? How do you develop that relationship?
Of course. So initially it starts with Crystal on the sales side of things, just getting to know our clients. But when we're onboarding a client, our process is actually pretty lengthy. It's about 2 weeks to a month. We'll visit them in person. For instance, we're onboarding a client now that Crystal and our CEO, Lane, went and visited in person. We're going to meet with all of their different departments, whether that be their current recruiting team, their current marketing team, some of their dispatchers, their leadership team as well, and find out what their struggles are currently, what their goals are, what they think is the best part of them, and then learn about their entire company too. So there's a number of different ways that we learn those things. We're a virtual company, so a lot of conversations are held virtually. We utilize a lot of different onboarding forums to ask some of the easier questions, but then honestly just open dialogue and conversations like we're having here about the industry and about their drivers as well.
Do you have do you ever actually meet with the current driver fleet that the company has so that you can kind of get the firsthand knowledge? I mean, I know the goals and the ideas and the aspirations of the owner, which would probably be, oh, how do I make it a lot easier and a lot cheaper? But do you ever actually communicate with the drivers to say, hey, what drew you here? What is it about you like here? What is it? What do you think would be? I mean, I think, right? Don't they offer also a different perspective from the entire rest of the team?
Of course, they actually do, and that is definitely a part of our process as well. So during the onboarding phase, we like to meet with drivers who have been with the company for a long period of time. And then once we actually start working with the carrier as well, we do a lot of interviews with their current fleet to touch base with not only what leadership is saying about who their company is, but what drivers see. So sometimes drivers will see that, maybe something's not as transparent as it should be in marketing, or what they'll see is a completely different aspect of the company that's amazing about the company, and we can share that. So here at Fusion, we do a lot of driver interviews. I'll have Reagan go over those, but we also do a lot of exit interviews, post-orientation interviews with drivers as well, because we're looking not just to fix a carrier's marketing, but ultimately their entire hiring process. And Reagan, did you want to go over just briefly some of the driver interviews that you've had previously with carriers and kind of what we use those for?
Yeah, definitely. Initially, we started these kind of as a content piece because drivers want to hear from other drivers what the experience is truly like. I mean, I think anyone does that when coming to a new job. They want to talk about people who are on the road, on the ground working. So, like I said, we initially started using it just for content, but as I got going and as I started talking with these drivers, they had such unique perspectives on the company they're driving for and what is different from other carriers they might have worked for. So not only can I use those video interviews and text interviews and phone interviews for content, but I can use it when I'm writing ads for the company to say, hey, everyone knows you when you walk in the door, everyone knows your name. So things like that drivers tell us that are firsthand experiences from the company are invaluable for all of the marketing strategies.
And I actually want to go out and say, because Dave, I'm not sure if you're aware, Reagan is now not communications coordinator, she is communications leader. So I just want to, say congrats to that. That's totally awesome.
Thank you,
and
Okay.
that is, and
That is great.
It is great.
That is great.
We were enjoying the martial arts thing that she was doing there.
Oh, I talk a lot with my hands, don't I?
No, we're talking about Reagan.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I want to ask you, Reagan. So
Bryce too.
And what?
Bryce too. You do talk with your hands too.
I do.
We have that in
He
common.
does too.
We get along.
Yeah, right.
No, they say that's actually a good. They say that's actually a very
It
good communication
engages
skill.
people, right? Thank you. So yeah, I want to ask you, Reagan. Like, we kind of discussed like what have you seen? Have you experienced some companies like mislead, their customers, their employers with advertisement? Like, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it. I would like to say that false advertisement, so to speak, is absolutely a thing, but I will say it can be intentional, but most of the time it's not. If rates or home time have changed, it should be your company's first priority to inform your in-house team, your firm, Fusion now, to correct the information on all platforms. I mean, different positions and locations have different home time and benefits available. So when that does happen, for example, if a client wants to raise their CPM, hopefully that's what we hope for, right? We disseminate that information to all the vendors that we work with for that carrier and internally. And then once all the changes are made, we double, triple check, make sure everyone's on the same page, basically. So no false advertisements come. You never want to hear from a driver Like, for example, when we're monitoring for one of our clients, hey, I talked to a recruiter and they said this, but your ad says this. We avoid that at all costs. So false advertisement isn't a thing when you and your firm are on the same page. So that's how we avoid it. I like to believe no one ever does it intentionally.
For sure. And that's why I felt like I needed to be here today because, you know, we're trying to educate Drive Safe Dave here on some marketing, right?
Okay.
Is you know,
Okay, Dave.
and I'll tell you, having actually been recruited as a driver years and years ago, there is a fine line between what you perceive yourself to be and what actually is. Because I truly think there are three views to every. There's theirs, mine, and somewhere in between, right? And I think it's hard to be honest and it right off the bat because we want to believe we look a certain way. We want to believe what we have is a certain thing, and we want to present that. But in reality, it's really this, and because it has stipulations, it has. You know, you want to make sure you get the right picture. I think that's very important because you never want to get blown up on social media that these guys will tell you one thing and they actually do another. That comes across often, right? Or happens out there in the marketplace.
It does. It does for sure.
Here we are doing this, and how much of what you do when you come to new companies is data driven as opposed to what it used to be? I think it's different. I don't know because I know marketing has its own deals, but you know, we've created new technologies. We've created these new information systems that have given us this huge amounts of data into the market, into the trucking space. How do y'all utilize that massive amounts of data to better your information in the marketing side?
Yeah, I'll start here, and I'm sure Crystal and Reagan have something to add as well, since we talk about this on every one of our daily calls as a team. So data is very important when it comes to everything that we do here, whether that be on actually advertising to drivers, which is just a portion of what we do, or analyzing a driver hiring process as well, analyzing why driver turnover is happening. But essentially, it enables us to look at the full picture with any campaign that we're doing. An example, if a carrier is having a lot of turnover issues and it's because of safety terms, we know that we need to work on a campaign geared towards current drivers on how to be safer drivers. We need to be providing additional training to them, or we need to be working on the hiring side of things in order to ensure that drivers that are being brought on are going to be safe drivers once they're on the fleet. So, I mean, I could talk probably for days about data, but ultimately there's so many different ways that it's incorporated into what we're doing. Initially, we find a problem and then we track back what is causing that problem based upon the data.
You have we have so much to go over when we have new drivers, and I know retention sure helps out in recruiting. And I think all of it has to come down to going out and getting the right fit first. I mean, if you don't get the right fit, a lot of the times you're going to turn them over anyway because you're not getting the right person in the right position. How do you help a company create right fits as opposed to what they were doing before? Because I think it makes it better, right, in the long term if we're getting a little bit better fit to the puzzle, you know, and then trying to just throw bodies at it, right, and hope one sticks. Because I think that's how we've done it always in the past. How is Fusion now making that different?
I can speak to that a little bit.
Okay.
So obviously lead generation, ideally you think you want all the drivers, you think you want the lowest cost per lead, and we do pride ourselves on a low cost per lead, but monitoring is really how we accomplish what you're talking about. Our team of social media monitors kind of pre-screen drivers before they even go to recruiters. So we talk with them in the comments of the ads, in Messenger, and really just discuss if the position is a good fit for them, rather than just, oh, you're interested, great, go talk to a recruiter. That way we save time, and it's way more efficient and way higher intent leads. You know, they're willing to talk with someone online about whether or not this position is a good fit for them. So that's how we accomplish that specifically.
You have
And
go ahead,
I was going to
please.
say, and Reagan, I'll
Crystal,
piggyback. Oh, sorry, Heather. I'll
oh, I was
piggyback off
going
of
to call
that.
to you.
So a lot of it also is just making sure that like you're building your brand and displaying the carriers displaying like who they are and people will potential drivers will see that and they'll either say be this carrier aligns with my values or not. And so it kind of makes it an easier fit. So people will start the tunnel will start kind of filling in a little bit tighter, and then you'll kind of weed out these other people who don't really fit into your values.
Do you have how is it that you when you first meet a company, and I think it's with Fusion now, when obviously we would call you when we need you, how is it that you step in and go, you justify right off, because we always want to know how much you're going to save us, right? How much is the investment dollars that I give you going to initially turn in? And I know you guys been doing this a while and y'all are really good at it. How does that conversation generally start out with a mid-sized trucking company? Because I know it's probably the one that they want to know first, right? I mean, how does that begin?
So I will take that over. Initially, so we are really big on lead generation, as well as, building brands, building reputations, building your whole perception of the company for you. So it really kind of just depends on what you're looking for. Like I'm looking for more high intent leads. I'm looking to lower my cost per lead. So we kind of dive into some of your high pain points, and then we kind of fill in from there. And with us, we are customizable, kind of a a la carte solution for you. So say you just want to, I want to give Fusion Now a shot. Let's just do lead generation. And then, okay, you're doing well, so we're going to give you our social media. See what you're going to do with that. And then we kind of just progress from there. And we are, with our packages, we are month to month, so we don't lock anyone into something that they can't get out of for some reason, whether they're spent their budget or they kind of need to dial back for any particular reason.
And to add to that as well, Dave, you mentioned specifically like saving money or accomplishing your goals there. So Crystal does a great job on the forefront of really pre-selling those carriers and finding out not only why they have that goal, right? So if it's to save money, it's probably because right now you have a super high cost per hire, or the hires that you have, if it is a low cost per hire, aren't sticking around for a very long period of time. And ultimately that's leading to you investing more money into hiring drivers. So ultimately, we're going to take a look at what you guys are doing currently, and we're going to see if we are going to be a good fit. If you have a $200 cost per hire and your marketing is flawless, you're getting 15, 20 driver referrals a month, and you have an absolutely wonderful recruiting process where leads are hired in under a week, we're probably not going to be able to help you with very much. I mean, it sounds like in that situation, the carrier has a perfect system. But what we see oftentimes is that carriers will have 50% of the process 100%, and then the other 50% is severely lacking, and that's where we can help. Sometimes, like Crystal said, it's with lead generation. Sometimes the carriers are perfect on the lead generation side and they're getting a great cost per lead, but they just can't convert those leads, whether that be recruiting or whether that be because their processing time is slower. So it's really depending upon the carrier, and we want to ask a lot of questions as far as what their hiring process looks like when they're pulling different reports, how well their recruiters are on the phone, and then from there customize what we're offering to them, because some carriers we're going to sell lead generation to. Others, they might need us to come in and have our processors process their applications, and then that would reduce their cost per hire in half right there. Also, you asked like specifically about numbers and saving money there. We do have a couple of case studies on our website if you wanted to check those out. It's fusionnow.io. And on there, those case studies show where we've grown fleets, cut down cost per hires, and cost per lead as well.
And you can get that just on the website itself. I mean, at fusionnow.io. Is that what you said?
Yeah, fusionnow.io. Dave, I'll also email those over to you after this as
I think
well.
he's taking notes.
No, I'm writing. I just like to pretend. Actually, I'm just pretending I'm writing stuff down so that I look like I'm doing it. It just makes me look smarter. Not that I actually am. First of all, is that? I just want to ask: is that like a 150 gallon or 200 gallon tank behind you? Because that's pretty
Yeah.
impressive saltwater tank.
It's 75 gallon, I believe.
75 gallon tank, 1.5 deep.
Freshwater fish.
Oh, okay. Freshwater fish.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
You were
Okay.
wrong on like both
I didn't
of
know.
those.
I mean, I couldn't tell because of the camera. Because at 75, it would, you take depth, width, height, and then you multiply by 8.34
Okay.
7.72
Volume.
cubic feet. I mean, by volume. Yep. Wow. No, I was
Okay.
just I was just checking, huh?
So, okay, I'm sorry guys about him.
I
That's why
know.
I'm here.
I couldn't
gotta,
help
like,
it. It was a
wiggle
cool
him in.
tank. It was a cool.
We
It's a
love
cool
it.
tank.
Okay, so
fun.
my big question for you guys is, we're in the first month of 2023. What are those big, trends you're expecting to see? Like what can we expect? Whoever.
I think Reagan may have froze, or
Oh, I was like,
Have you
I
ever
did.
Reagan?
I'm back now.
there we go.
Oh,
Perfect.
I'm back now. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Well-
Yeah, Reagan, do you want to start us off?
speaking
Well,
about
yeah.
trends in 2023, she's
Oh,
our trend
yeah.
spotter. That's what we call her here at
Okay.
Fusion, so-
Absolutely, ear to the ground. So obviously last year in 2022, video was kind of the sun we were all revolving
For
our
sure.
marketing strategies around. In 2023, I think it's going to be the whole universe, honestly. I spent a lot of time in 2022 going out to our clients' terminals and capturing photos and video of operations day to day, driver testimonials, things like that. So I anticipate a lot more time on the road this year than last year, even though that seems kind of impossible. So I definitely foresee more video. AI is a big thing in the news right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Bing is looking to beat out Google. What? That
I
was
know,
not
right?
on my 2023 bingo card. But we at Fusion Now are playing with a lot of different platforms, kind of like streaming services. They're all competing to be the best, and we're helping them make strides in efficiency. Some people are feeling a little threatened by it, and whatever else. But if you utilize it to its highest potential, then it can only help you. And lastly, I will say every single day, tech companies, tech startups are starting new social media platforms, new platforms to post ads, to post whatever it might be. Don't pay mind to every single one that you hear about, but you need to make sure that your team is dynamic and ready enough to hop on a new platform when it starts getting traction with your target audience.
For sure.
We do want to appreciate you guys jumping on today and let us know a little bit more about Fusion Now. We will probably, are we going to be seeing you guys over at the TCA in a little while?
You will
Some of our,
definitely be seeing a few of us for sure.
yeah.
Fantastic.
Some
We
of
look-
us are going to go, but we're not sure who yet, so.
All right.
We're drawing straws.
I'll tell you what, thank y'all for coming on today. We do appreciate it, joining us here on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. I hope y'all have a great weekend, and we will see you guys soon. Thanks so much for the information.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day. Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.